So let's talk about asset allocation. How many asset classes? How do we become, over diversified? Now, everyone's probably seen this chart before. This is just an efficient frontier. We're on the y-axis, we have an expected return. On the x-axis, we have risk. And so the ideal portfolio on the green line, of course, is ideal because it has the same risk as the gray portfolio, but it has more return. So I think we're all well versed in that. We're trying to do is keep our clients' portfolios repositioned on that green line at all times. And so as market conditions change, we maintain efficiency and adjust our portfolios through rebalancing. And so the goal, again, is to have an efficient portfolio. And today we're going to be talking about how to have efficient portfolios when we've included annuities into the mix. So the next slide shows an efficient frontier now. This is a live efficient frontier. And you can see that on the right-hand side, under the last asset class, the green triangle, you see the annuity. And so now the annuity lives in this efficient frontier world, and we have global bonds, U.S. bonds, U.S. real estate, commodities, cash, emerging market, U.S. equity, international equity, and an annuity. So it just plots here like any other asset class, and it forms a nice efficient frontier. And it is nothing different than what we're all used to when we build, portfolios for our client, following the principles of modern portfolio theory. An interesting observation, and it might be hard to see on the screen, but if you look at the arithmetic mean on the left axis, come across from 3.8 to 0. Look up, and you're going to see that little annuity marker. What this is saying is that the annuity, and I'll tell you how I built this in a second, the annuity is actually more efficient than anything on that efficient frontier. And so it's a really interesting observation, but that by adding an annuity, it's actually to the left of the line, which is basically impossible to do. So because of its risk-return characteristics, it's going to be a very favorable asset in the mean variance optimization process. Remember that the mean variance optimization process has a bias to asset classes that either have high return or low risk. And so here, we're going to find that the annuity algorithms or the optimization algorithms are going to favor that asset class. So here, let's just pick on the moderate model in this case, and we'll show you the rest of the model here in a moment. The moderate model here is expected to get a 6.25% arithmetic mean and a standard deviation of 8. You'll notice that we have a Sharpe ratio of 0.77, and then we have your higher moment calculations of skewness and kurtosis, which we're not going to talk about right now. I will talk about higher moments. Most of the time in mean variance optimization, people are only using two out of the 4 moments of a distribution, and that's the arithmetic mean and standard deviation. And if you do that, you're assuming that you're using a normal or a Gaussian distribution, and of course we know that those are not true, and we'll show you evidence of that again today in a couple more slides. So we are using more sophisticated downside distributions or fat-tailed distributions to do our work. And the reason we're using fat-tailed and downside distributions to do our work with annuities is because they fall into that risk or loss-averse clients camp, and we're trying to build safer portfolios, not more aggressive portfolios. So again, the right tool for the job. But I thought that was a very interesting observation that the annuity actually plots to the left of the efficient frontier. So here's the capital market assumptions with the annuities. Oh, and let me go back one thing. The data I'm using here is from January of 2000 to April 2017. That's the data set that I used for these numbers I'm showing you. And on that efficient frontier, there was over 100 different portfolios. I only pulled out 5 of them for illustrative purposes. So the asset class assumptions, you can see that the annuity, we're only assuming a 3.79% return on, but of course that standard deviation is 0.75. And those numbers come from a simulation that we do based on some advanced mathematics, and so these aren't just historical numbers, these are historical numbers adjusted statistically for copulas and for other statistical properties that we need to do to stabilize the covariance matrix and to do all the math correctly. So sorry to get geeky on you, but again, this isn't your out-of-the-box mean variance optimization work that we're showing you today. So we go down and look at a correlation table, and I think you'll find that the annuity has low correlation coefficient, which is what we're trying to do when we build diversified portfolios. In fact, if you go over to look at the combination between the annuity number 9 and number 7, which is U.S. equity, you'll see that the correlation coefficient is 0.77. And so someone might say, well, that's high. Aren't we looking for low correlation coefficients? Well, we are, except this makes sense because this annuity that I'm basing these numbers on was an indexed annuity that used the S&P 500 as its indexing reference rate, and so we would expect it to have a high correlation to the index that it was referencing. If we had a blended index, or we had a Dow Jones index, or any other index that an annuity provider has to offer, well, then you would see a higher correlation to its indexing benchmark. So again, it's not alarming here because, again, this is a benchmark against the S&P 500. The main point is the rest of the correlation coefficients are quite low, and so statistically it's going to be a very good asset class in this portfolio.